Born and raised in southeast Michigan, where hockey is a way of life, UWSP assistant hockey coach and former player Zach Badalamenti has come a long way.
Well, I played travel hockey. I think I started when I was 6 years old in the Detroit area. I was playing travel hockey till I was about 10 or 11, and I joined Detroit Little Caesars. I played AAA hockey for them for about 10, 11 years, I want to say. When I turned 17, I left to go play junior hockey. I played in the North American League for 4 years on like 3 or 4 teams, I want to say. My last 2 years I played for Port Huron. That's about 30 minutes in Michigan from my house for the Fighting Falcons. We had a pretty great time there. A lot of good players played with. We had a lot of success, so junior hockey was a blast.
Teammate Max Milosic has watched Zach grow since long before their time at Stevens Point.
I first started playing hockey with him, I think, when I was 11. So I think it was 6th grade, 7th grade maybe. And then we kind of drifted apart because we were on different teams. I went to a different AAA team, and then he stayed with the same one on Little Caesars. And then we met up again in juniors, and we played 2 years of juniors in Port Huron together. And I mean, we've always been good buddies, even back when we first met. But we're both kind of goofy, so we kind of clicked right away.
Pointers head coach Chris Brooks did not have much of a chance to see Zach play, but recognized his personality and demeanor as another great addition to the Stevens Point hockey program, along with Milosic.
I never really talked to him in person. I saw him play up there in the Sioux, and to be 100% honest, the other team was terrible the day I went to see them play. I actually talked to Zach and Max upon completion of their season. They were actually at spring break down in Florida somewhere when I got a hold of them. As he developed, I saw him. I saw him, being able to play numerous roles for us. I thought his skill set was good, his hockey sense was good. I think one of Zach's biggest strengths as a player that I talked to was just his work ethic and his his loyalty and his buy-in to the teams that he had played on.
With a bit of encouragement, both took a chance and made the decision to join the program in the fall of 2014, one that they have not regretted.
Well, I committed to the school first, and then I kind of convinced him to come here, which I didn't know much about it either, but I wanted him to come because we've been such good buddies, and we've lived together all 3 years so far, and we're planning on living together next year too. So I mean, he's cool. He's everything about him. Like, we just have a blast with everything we do, and I think we have a great relationship.
Badalamenti saw little game time on the ice during his freshman campaign, but looked poised for a bigger role in his sophomore season until the unthinkable happened.
Going into that game, we sort of felt that he had found his niche, and we felt good about what he was going to bring to our team, and I just remember the injury briefly. I just remember it was a unique situation where I saw him come up on the forecheck, and all of a sudden I just saw him lose an edge. The next thing I knew, he was on the bench, and then from there it was just getting him out of there as quickly as possible and moving on.
November 21st, 2015 was a day that held high hopes for Badalamenti and the Pointers as they were set to host in-state rival St. Norbert College. However, it turned out to be a day that would change Badalamenti's life forever.
I mean, obviously, when you're playing Adrian, St. Norbert, the Eau Claires, the River Falls, there's only so many games a year you get to really get that extra excitement for, because these teams are very good and it's going to be a great atmosphere, especially playing at the Willet. So I remember coming in that night, real excited to play. I mean, no idea thinking, obviously, that would be the last time I stepped on the ice, to prepare for an injury like that, but I was extremely excited to play. The first period was kind of choppy. There was a lot of penalties. It's kind of tough to get a good flow of the game, but I think it was the first shift of the second period. The puck ended up changing corners in the offensive zone. I went to bump with the guy skating full speed. I was probably 5-6 feet from the boards, and I remember somebody had dropped a stick on the ice, and I bumped with the guy and kind of tripped over the stick and went headfirst into the boards. I remember that feeling as soon as I hit the boards. It kind of was like a minor lapse or blackout, but laying there on the ice, I knew something was really wrong, like something wasn't right. And I've been hurt before, and I've known the feeling, but I just thought to myself, I better get off the ice and skate to the bench or whatever the situation is. So I skated off the ice and got to the bench, and I just said to our trainers, it's like, something just really doesn't feel right. I took my helmet off right away, sat behind the bench, and I tried to move my neck around, and it felt like something I'd never felt before, and something felt real screwed up. It was pretty scary. Sitting there, my neck tightening up worse and worse. The doctor came down from the press box and he evaluated some tests on me, pushed my arms down, moved my neck around a little bit. He said, you got to go to the hospital for precautionary reasons. This is something we can't mess with. I don't know if they thought it was concussion, but whatever the neck issues are, you got to play it as severe. So it started to stiffen up. I skated off the ice. I got to the locker room and I was taking my stuff off and it was becoming pretty unbearable, the pain.
With the uncertainty of the injury, his next stop was the emergency room. After testing, only 2 choices remained, both of which would alter his future as he and his parents awaited a final decision.
So they checked me into the ER and they got me a wheelchair. I got back there, they pumped some morphine into me, or whatever the painkiller was at the time, just to try to take some of the pain away. And the doc said, we're gonna get you a CT scan. And I was like, all right, whatever, that's fine. He's like, so I remember laying down to try to get into this little tube for the CT scan. I'd never felt pain like that. And I knew something was probably pretty bad at that point. So they did a CT scan. I got up, struggled back to the hospital bed in this wheelchair. About 10 minutes later, the doctor came in and he had this look on his face like I'd never seen. And I was like, he's like, I got some bad news for you, man. He goes, I haven't seen anything like this in a while. We can't even deal with something like this here. He goes, we're gonna have to emergency ambulance you to another hospital with the neurosurgery clinic. You've severely broken your C1 vertebrae. It's shattered. I was like, my heart dropped. I didn't know what to think, and I was pretty scared. My parents, like I said, are 10 hours away, and I'd never experienced anything like that because, I mean, you could just die right there, apparently, not knowing that at the time, but I was freaking out. So I just remember they got the ambulance in there within 10-15 minutes, and some of my teammates started to come see me. That was nice. And I mean, the game didn't turn out how we wanted. I think we got smoked that night. We ended up losing like 5-1 to St. Norbert. But at that point, I don't think that was really the focus. And it was nice to get all the support from my teammate and coaches and everybody else. There were a lot of people in town. But I remember that ambulance ride over, the people that I had, the paramedics were just unbelievable. They were with me the whole time. It was kind of funny, the lady that was driving the thing had a similar injury like that in a car accident. She showed me her scar, so it was kind of nice to have some sort of comfort like that. She's like, you'll be all right, I'm living a perfect life. She goes, I think you're gonna be just fine. It turned out they were gonna evaluate me in the morning again to see what the best situation going forward would be, to put a halo brace on me, one of those big bird cage looking things, and screw it into my head to keep my neck still for a few months to support my neck and let it try to reheal. Or do like the life-changing surgery and fuse my vertebrae together, which would take away probably, they told me 30 to 50% of my movement, so I wouldn't be able to do much with my life if that was the instance, so that was something I didn't want to hear.
Fortunately for Badalamenti, the doctors decided on moving forward with the halo procedure rather than life-altering fusion surgery.
When the doctor, the neurosurgeon, told me that he was going to go with the halo brace versus the life-changing fusion of the vertebrae, I was extremely relieved in that sense. So they said this is probably my best bet to heal. I was young and healthy, so I would have a better chance of surviving this and healing this better than anybody that was in any other situation. I guess she was in tears. I barely got to talk to her because I was getting evaluated. My dad, was same situation. He didn't know what to think, and I didn't get to speak to my brothers until a few days later, but I don't know, it was tough. It doesn't make it any better when you're in that kind of situation and your parents are freaking out crying. It makes it that much more realistic how bad the situation really is. Hopefully anybody has to deal with something like that. That thing is goofy, but at the end of the day, it was luckier than the surgery.
With the rest of the team focused on the season, he turned his attention to the long road of recovery.
At the time, when I was doing all the rehab and the physical therapy and in the halo, I didn't really think about any of that. I kind of just wanted to get myself better and then reevaluate later on once I kind of progressed a little bit and I felt better. But in the back of my mind, once I started to heal up a little bit and I was going back for my 6, 7, 8 month checkups, and I got the halo off and I was in a normal neck brace, I was starting to do some more intense PT. I kind of miss hockey a lot. I mean, that's all it has been for me my whole life. It's all I've ever really known. 20 years, hockey's been a huge part of it.
Returning to the ice seemed like a near impossibility for Badalamenti, but now his focus turned to being the best teammate he could be as the Pointers closed in on a national championship.
He definitely struggled with it, but he stayed positive through the whole thing, and I think that was huge, and it definitely rubbed off on me and a lot of others with his positivity about that stuff. So, I mean, he handled it really well.
You know, it's one of those things that we could have let impact us negatively, or we could use as a hardship to affect us positively, and you know, we didn't really talk about it a whole lot. I think it was in the back of a lot of people's minds and everything that we did.
You're just happy to play hockey, to be able to play hockey, and you want to play as hard as you could because someone so close to you in firsthand is not able to do that anymore. And I mean, I didn't like think about it every day, like, oh, I'm going to play today for Zach, but sometimes you'd see him and you'd be like, hell, like, I get to play today. Like, he doesn't. Like, I'm going to go play today and enjoy this because I get to. You really do feel bad for it, and I mean, he's not the type of guy that would want anyone to feel bad for him. I mean, he did everything he possibly could by himself, and you'd feel bad and you'd want to help him out. I remember one time we were at his house, and I didn't travel with the team because I didn't play last year for a semester. I was ineligible. So I was at his house and he was trying to scratch his back, and I was like, I can help you. I remember just like grabbing the back scratcher and reaching down his halo and scratching his back for him. And he would never ask you to do it, but he would do it until he couldn't do it anymore, and you'd step in and try to help him out.
He was there with us. I mean, coach brought it up. He put his jersey on the bench on some of the games, like to see, because he couldn't go on the road trip, so it was like he was kind of there with us while he was recovering back at home. And I think it was just the outlook on it just kind of made everyone, I guess, grateful for playing the game that you love, and that got taken away from him, but he still wanted us to succeed, and at the end of the day we did, and that's what was cool about the end. When we won, Dixon didn't even lift a trophy up. He went right over to bats and gave it to him and let him do it, so it kind of made it all worth it right there when you got to see that, and everyone was pumped up for him, I think more than for themselves.
Winning last year, even in the neck brace, like even holding the national championship trophy, just playing with those guys was special. It was something I'll never forget. Very tight-knit team, and all the guys bought in, and it was just real cool to watch. Even though I wasn't able to play, it just made it that much better with how tough of a situation it was last year with that broken neck, but winning it all made it a lot more worth it.
Dealing with the injury was now on the back burner for Badalamenti as he became an NCAA Division III hockey national champion. This joy was soon short-lived as he received a phone call that shook his world and left him searching for answers.
So the doctor said no more contact sports for you. You got to still kind of be careful throughout your life. You might get some more healing, you might heal a little bit better with some more PT, that kind of stuff, but you're done, your hockey career is over. So that night I actually texted Coach Brooks and Coach Krieger, and I asked them, I'm like, if I'm coming back to Stevens Point next year, can I just be a part of it? I don't really know what kind of role. I'd love to just learn from you guys, maybe get involved in coaching, just be around, come out for practices, help out, that kind of thing.
He went back and saw a specialist, and the doctor told him of his recommendation that it would be probably his best decision not to play again. Zach called me, and you know, we had a great conversation, tough conversation. Our first conversation was actually just about not being able to play, and you know, he expressed his interest in staying in the game, and we went through that. And then, you know, the big thing I told him at that point, I said, you know, you really have to give some thought about you know, wanting to do what you're asking me to do, because it takes a big commitment to do that. And it's just not a big commitment, time commitment. It's more of a commitment to be able to separate yourself from being one of the guys to being, you know, one of us.
Turning to coaching was not an easy adjustment for Badalamenti, especially when it came to new relationships with his teammates.
He said, you got to make some sacrifices if you want to kind of take on this role. You're going to have to kind of separate yourself from being one of the boys. Like, they're going to have their team parties all the time. They're going to do this and that, and chasing girls, whatever it may be. You're going to kind of have to separate yourself from that kind of lifestyle if you want to be looked upon as more of a coach, because what's said behind closed doors, like, you can't be repeating that to the guys in the team, that kind of stuff. That'd be a little bit of a barrier, and it's going to be tough for you. You played with a lot of these guys, so it's going to be hard. But once he called me and told me that, I was ecstatic. A couple of the seniors were older than me, so it was going to be a weird transition, but I kind of just kept my mouth shut and just kind of watched the other coaches throughout our preseason workouts and chimed in where I could, like, whatever it may be. And as it went on throughout the season, I felt a little more comfortable and a little more confident talking to some of the younger guys, because they needed more teaching than some of the older guys. But it ended up turning out pretty well, I think. And I mean, I can't thank my teammates enough for showing me some respect as, like, you're kind of that kind of figure this year, and let me transition to this role. And the coaches, like, it was unlike anything else, getting to learn from those guys. Are super smart, and the hockey side of all of it, like, you don't see any of that as a player, but when you're looking at the other way and you're just watching the game and how it all goes on from the bench or practice every day, there's so much more to it.
Milasek and Tanner Carty constantly saw this transition firsthand and offered their praise for the newest member of the coaching staff.
I think it was a tough transition from going from a player to a coach, but obviously he wanted to stay in hockey. He didn't want to just completely get it out of his life. So I think it's pretty cool that he's still around it and he's coaching. I think he did a really good job this year doing it. Especially he didn't go too far with anything, but he was learning the whole way, and he's always there for someone if they didn't want to talk to, say, Brooksy or Kriegs about something and they needed someone to talk to. They can go to bats if they're more comfortable with or anything like that. And I think he's done really well this year with that, and I'm excited to see what he has to do or what he does with it in the future.
I think a lot of people that something that drastic would change you in a negative form, but Zach has done nothing but make this as positive as he can, and he's done nothing but make it kind of a great story. You know, like he took something so horrible and has made it so great, and he's becoming a really good coach. He's a good guy as it is, like in general, you know, so I think that's kind of the key to it, is just him being just such a good guy and a positive guy as it is has really helped him create something so great out of this for himself.
Coach Brooks has high hopes for Badalamenti as he enters his second season behind the Pointers bench.
He's one of those loyal kids and real soft-spoken. He's got a calmness about him that is contagious. He's very well liked. You know, he's got a lot of strengths, and you know, now headed into his you know, his senior year now. You know, I'm really excited to see him grow.
From all of the hardships and life-changing events that he went through in such a short time span, Zach Badalamenti has grown immensely and is now embracing his life after taking his final shift in a Pointers uniform.
Everybody that plays hockey has to learn how to adapt, whatever that may be. But I mean, on a day-to-day basis, everybody has their own battles, their own issues, whether it be death in the family, injuries, setbacks, whatever it may be. But I think this taught me more than anything else. You just got to keep staying positive, pushing forward. My faith in God definitely helps. And when it first happened, it kind of makes you question your faith, at least for me. Like, why me? Why did this happen to me? But as it all progressed, I realized like why it all happened, and I think everything does happen for a reason, and I've always believed that. But all in all, I couldn't be more grateful in how everything turned out. And at the end of the day, it was a very bad situation that could have been a lot worse. So I'm lucky to be here today, I guess.